This is Rightly Used with Adam and Karen.
Hello, I'm Adam.
And I'm Karen.
We're not together in this episode. It's weird.
You mean you've dumped me?
No, you're on the other side of a screen.
Oh, right, yeah, sorry. Yeah, we are
We're physically
remote.
not in the same room.
We are remote recording today.
I was going to post that before. This is our first remote recording. I thought, well, does that sound like we're going out and about somewhere with a recorder? I thought, it's too confusing to say we're just sat in each other's rooms because
I'm on
germs.
my sofa, you're on your sofa, and the reason for that is because I've had an horrendous chest infection for the last 2 weeks, and I'm absolutely buggered. And because it's nearly Christmas, we're being sensible and not poisoning anyone else with my dirty germs.
Because I've got to go and see my family in a couple of days. But they've probably got germs from my niece who's going to school and comes back with mutated germs, who then goes back to school, who has different germs and comes back with those slightly different ones.
Mucky children, gross.
Petri dishes.
Yeah, they are.
You can tell we're not parents.
I know, yeah. Breeding ground for disease, children are.
Merry Christmas.
Drain on your resources. Elf on the shelf. Fuck that.
I did like Tom's video.
Tom's video was really funny. I did text him immediately after watching it and told him he was a psychopath, though.
I told him some things I wanted to see in there. I was cheering on. Oh, will it do this? Is this happening? Double tap. Have a look at the Studio Channel 84 YouTube channel for what we're talking about.
Yeah, absolutely. It's only like 2.5 minutes, but it's revenge
therapy for
on
parents everywhere.
Yes, very much so. Therapy, and even for people who aren't parents, because I can't stand Elf on the Shelf.
Before we forget to do anything this episode, I want to get this out the way. Coming up today.
Oh, right. I thought you were getting all serious then.
I am. We've got 13 episodes in and we've only ever said what's coming up on the show twice.
Was that the first episode and the last one?
Yeah. I think so. I'm trying to remember, did we even do it in the first episode?
God knows.
Johnny Turnip and friends encounter the Necromancer in Lightly Used News. We've got Tat In The Box, where we are going to try and remotely do this. We've exchanged items in a box, which are apparently gift-wrapped.
Yes.
I've definitely gift-wrapped mine.
Yes, and I definitely gift-wrapped. Oh, God. I definitely gift-wrapped the one that's in my box that's in your house.
So we're going to try and work out what we're unwrapping from each other. We're not gifting them to each other.
No, I want my back.
They're treasure tat items.
Yeah,
you're not having that.
It's mine. You're not keeping it.
We're going to take 10 minutes to try and play a game. It's a very lightly used game. That's all I'm defining it as today. It's definitely not charity shop sourced. I've had it for about a decade in a cupboard. And we end with lightly used book in Bibliotat. Before that, though, you've got a festive new segment.
I have got a festive news. Well, I've got a whole new segment, but we're going to start off with a festive one. So, welcome to Karen's Factitious Corner. Random and weird Welsh Christmas traditions. Please forgive me for any Welsh pronunciation. Apologies. Gwyl Sant Steffan, or St Stephen's Day, most commonly known in the UK as Boxing Day. A previously common, but not so much now, tradition, thankfully, is holly beating. So this is where young men and boys of the villages would gather holly branches and beat the arms and legs of young females until they bled. I'm not quite sure how the custom came about, but it died
idea of how it ended.
Yeah, the custom did die out before the 19th century, and I could not find any meaning behind it. Apparently, it was just an excuse, from what I can see, for boys who fancied girls to do the mean thing, because that's what kids do when they fancy each other. They bully each other.
That's how we show affection.
Yes, we're mean to you. We like you, really. Fact number 2, wassailing with the Mary Lwyd.
Yeah, it's a good one.
This is a good one. I like this one. It's my favourite one. So this is an ancient South Walian tradition that has had a resurgence in recent years.
I've not seen this around my neck of the woods, I'll be honest.
Well, you don't really live in a village.
I'm in a rural
I bet if you were more rural...
I have a rural council in charge. I have to pay my taxes.
Yeah, you have a rural council. I have a city council.
Farm across the road.
Yeah. There is actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, I suppose you are like
disbelieving me.
you are edging rural or
Phrasing.
rural edging.
I don't like the
Is
sound
that a
of
different thing?
I believe it is.
Anyway, the Mari Lwyd is a horse's skull that is usually carried on a long pole by a person under a cloak. Although some villages, if they've got a grey horse, they will just use the grey horse and stick a sheet over it. And this is carried through the town with a gaggle of wassailers or wassailers. The wassailers knock on the doors in the villages between Christmas Day and the 12th night, and they engage in rhyming ritual called punko, that's Pwnco, in exchange for food and beer. So you go round knocking on people's doors, challenge them to a rhyming ritual, and if you win, they have to feed and drink you. No.
You have to get battle rap from door to door.
Yes, right, yeah. Christmas rap battle Welsh style. Oh dear. Right, okay. Last but one. So the winter swim. This is not something I am ever going to partake in unless forced to.
Polar bear sort of thing.
Yeah. So on Christmas Day, in lots of towns and cities along the coastline of Wales, you will find groups of absolute lunatics dressed as Santa or whatever they fancy festive, and they will run down the sand and into the sea. I don't know why. The water temperature around South Wales at Christmas time averages about 4 degrees, which I think probably gives you about 10 minutes in the water before you start getting hypothermia. So it's probably not the most sensible thing to do, but people seem to enjoy it. There's a massive one in Porthcawl every year and in Tenby, and I never intend to participate. And then the last tradition is technically not just Wales. You know, lots of people like mistletoe. Before its romantic connotations, mistletoe was considered so sacred that it could only be cut or harvested by druids with a golden sickle. The plant represented peace. People who met underneath it were forbidden from fighting, even if they were mortal enemies.
The tree said so.
Yeah, the tree said, "I gotta be nice." Homes
stand over here and
decorated
do
with it. Homes decorated with it offered protection. Because of its pagan links, you'll rarely find mistletoe in a church.
Not even
And
after
also-
the Cliff Richard song.
Yeah, well, I mean, mistletoe and wine, I guess that is pretty Christmas.
Christmas time.
But
Children
I
singing.
was also
Christy
going to
rhyme.
say mistletoe is a parasitic plant.
Yeah.
It does not grow on its own soil of its own volition. It hugs trees and eats their nutrients in order to grow.
I think it's quite poisonous or toxic as well.
Yeah, I definitely wouldn't recommend eating the berries or getting any of the juicy juice on you. It's not very good.
Sure, we can pick a better plant for this
Yeah.
in modern times.
Poinsettia?
That's come up so much in the last couple of years. It's from Mexico, you know.
Yeah, I heard that recently, actually. Funny
Why
you
is
should say that.
What's going on? The third time now in as many weeks.
My mum used to get a poinsettia every year. I don't know if she still does, but yeah, we always had at least one on the fireplace. Bright red. Yeah, lovely. So that is the end of Karen's first edition of Karen's Factitious Corner, or KFC for short.
I wanted to chime in with some from the Metro. Quirky. So many articles of me doing this. Quirky Christmas traditions around the world.
Yay! Go for it.
Overuse of the word quirky. It's just what they do. Christ,
Quirky,
I'm Welsh.
Quirky to the aliens of the country.
Parading a horse skull around. That's fucking weird.
It's not as fun as burning a big goat, though. Straw goat.
It's not meant to be burnt. Don't encourage people.
All right, I'm sorry.
Leave Norway
Anyway,
alone.
give us your quirky
Is
tracks,
it Norway
love.
or Sweden?
Sweden?
So in Italy, the Befana, as per Italian folklore traditions, it's a witchy old woman who bestows children with gifts on January the 5th. Like we're packing up the Christmas decorations ahead of Epiphany. I think it's just, look at the state of this place. The trees shedding needles. I think is that the Epiphany. My feet fucking hurt coming into the lounge. Let's get rid of this thing.
Yeah.
I knew I was going to research something. Pronunciation. She's been referred to as the Vecchia?
How many C's?
VECC?
Chi.
Vicia?
Vicia, yeah.
Vicia, old woman. The Stria, witch, and the Pesqueta, little Easter. Again,
Oh,
pronunciation. In Norway, hiding broomsticks in cupboards. Another folklore tradition. A Norwegian story suggests that witches and evil spirits emerge on Christmas Eve to steal brooms. So Norwegian families hide them away in cupboards to avoid the witch's wrath.
because witches can't open cupboards, obviously.
I guess not. Or have, is it Alohomora to open the door, whatever it was?
I don't know. I don't talk Harry Potter.
That's one of the first ones in the books.
Yeah, I think
films.
Or is that the? Oh no, that's Loomis. Yeah, no, I think you might be right.
One of my favourites, Krampus. The
Yes,
monster who
the
frightens
scary
children on the
German
naughty
demon.
list.
Yes, love it.
German, Hungarian, and Austrian children. This creature that, other than Santa, deals with naughty children. The devil-like Krampus frightens poorly behaved kids, sometimes throws them into his sack. And in Austria, people often dress up as him in early December and scare children on the streets.
Yes, there was somewhere in Germany recently a big Krampus street festival.
Oh, yeah.
And they did floats and stuff and people all in their big demon costumes and things. It looks amazing. I'd love to see it, but I think I'd probably have nightmares for a week.
But I would also like to see the stats to find out if there are better behaved kids there than us.
They're definitely better educated.
Do we need the Krampus here?
Maybe. We've got the Grinch.
Well, I did ask Tom and Rob to investigate for me, so their episode hasn't come out yet.
That's true.
We'll see how they got on. Why isn't he more popular here?
Christmas cryptid information.
Finally, for the Metro article, in Venezuela, roller skating to Christmas Mass. Las Patinatas? Patinatas?
Patinatas.
It translates to the skating. I definitely should have checked these translations.
You should have gone to Google. Yeah,
just play what that sounds like. I'll write the phonetic.
Yeah, I read a story about that one when I was looking up my Welsh facts. It just came up in an article, and I was like, "Oh, that's quite cool."
It's a fairly recent one. The skating dates back to the 1950s. Involves people roller skating all night. They're making their way to church for a 5 or 6 a.m. mass from the 16th to 24th of December.
God, I thought you were going to say a 5 or 6 hour mass then. I'd have been like, bloody hell. For all that skating, I'd be asleep.
Get an early one. I also asked you to do a Christmassy thing. What's your earliest Christmas memory? That's my festive contribution to the show.
Yeah, so I've been thinking about this really hard and I don't actually know. So I've got two that are probably similar ages. So the first one was when I thought I was getting a pound puppy, but I got a My Pet Monster instead.
That's an excellent trade-off.
It is now.
I guess, unless your heart was really, really set, I'm guessing.
As a 6 or 7 year old obsessed with pound puppies, there was a particular one I wanted as well. But to be honest, I made a massive mistake of not actually telling my parents and assuming they were psychic and would know. But it was the year that My Pet Monsters came out. I think it was 1986, maybe. And I got the big blue one from the advert with the orange handcuffs.
Oh, yeah. My mate.
And he was a hand puppet as well. So, you could make him say things as well as bite your smaller siblings. He had a big snaggle tooth, which I quite appreciated.
I know my sister and her friends had some pound puppies. I'm trying to remember which two. There was a sort of shaggy sheepdog, like the Jim Henson Storyteller dog puppet with the grey woolly strand looking one. And I think there was a brown and white spotty one.
Okay.
Those are the only 2 pound puppies I can remember. I think my sister and one of her friends had one each.
Yeah, they were very popular. I did love my pound puppies. But yeah, sorry, Mum and Dad. Initially, I was really disappointed at the My Pet Monster, but I've come to love him over the last 30-odd years. And I am sorry. I was an ungrateful child. And my second Christmas memory is when I got my first camera.
Oh, cool.
And it was a little red and black. I think it was a Kodak, although I might be wrong. I'm sure Dad would be able to correct me. And the back opened out and it had like the binocular-shaped reels of film in.
Yeah.
And I loved that, and it was great. And Dad was really into his photography and always has been.
Wind it
on. Yeah. I love the little wind on. And then it had an automatic rewind, which was very fancy. So yeah, and I loved that. I took hundreds of photos on that. Yeah, it was great. Those are my two kind of Christmas memories that have really sort of cropped up. So, your turn.
The one that stuck with me, I can't remember if my sister was born yet. She's about 3 years younger than me, but we did move out to this particular house when I was about 6. So we'll set that as a ceiling. I was 6 or less.
Okay.
I found my main Christmas present in my parents' wardrobe.
What were you doing going around sneaking about in your parents' bedroom, you bad child?
My sister and I, we were really nosy kids. It was a yellow pedal car that looked like an AA Range Rover.
Oh, awesome.
Pretty sure it had a little trailer with toy tools on it as well. I've got a memory of being told off for finding it, rightly so.
Yes.
Like you did.
Yes. Well done, Mum and Dad.
But my memory of being told off also includes being told it's not mine or it's for somebody else. And obviously a month or two later, it clearly wasn't. Yeah, but like Mulder's poster, if it was about Santa, I want to believe. So, Santa gave me that. It's not
Santa put it in Mum and Dad's wardrobe 3 months ago.
Kind of compartmentalised that I saw it a few months ago.
He just does early deliveries. There's a lot of children to go round to in one night. No one's that magic.
And when I was much older, I think I was a teenager, or not quite a teenager, maybe. One of my mates who lived in the other street from me saw my main Christmas present before I did. Because it was a mountain bike that my parents had kept in my grandparents' house, or in their shed, who lived round the other street. So my mate saw my parents going around there, getting out of their shed, taking it loading up into their car, and then bringing it around. So he knew exactly what I'd be getting the evening before.
That's fantastic.
He didn't tell me. Obviously, phones weren't around then.
I was going to say, can you imagine? Text message immediately. Adam, you've got a bike for Christmas.
You're getting that snazzy mountain bike. Although I knew what I was getting for Christmas that year as well, to be honest, because, my parents took me to the bike shop to ask me which of these mountain bikes I would like.
Yeah, fair enough.
Wasn't exactly a surprise.
No. Well, it's still nice to get a bit of freedom, which is what wheels give you.
Before we move on to likely used news, not quite corrections.
Okay.
We just forgot to give a time for the Rubik's race last episode. It was 1 minute, 1 second.
It took you 1 minute and 1 second to beat me.
Yeah.
I need a rematch.
And also, because this is an audio format, I completely forgot to show the shaker to the camera to show the pattern that we were meant to complete.
Oopsie. Yeah, but I reckon if you'd have picked it up and tilted it, it would have changed the pattern again anyway. So, have you put the video up? Or
Yeah. It's on the show blog as well.
Oh, cool. Excellent. Oh, well, check out
likelyused.co.uk
and YouTube.
It's in the blog post for episode 12.
Yay.
And last episode's Bibliotat, the My Little Pony annual 1990.
Mm-hmm.
Also, not on the Internet Archive. You said we should try and find some books. Inadvertently, I had on the episode that...
I wonder if it's because it's incredibly racist and insensitive.
It's not incredibly, it's just very specifically in one story.
Dressing a boy pony up as a cowboy living in a wigwam. So at the very least, culturally insensitive.
In this episode of Likely Used News, Abergavenny Man claims he was spiked by a psychic called Steve. From Tim Butters, the Abergavenny Chronicle, on Monday, the 27th of May. Oh.
I'm laughing already.
An Abergavenny man who just wanted to kill some pigs in the Forest of Dean has alleged that the illegal hunt went sideways after he and his friends had their whiskey spiked with acid by a psychic called Steve. Originally, Indiana Jenkins told us Steve was a necromancer, explained semi-professional long-distance runner Johnny Turnip, and that we needed his blessing to hunt wild boar or risk the seventh torment. Turnip added, "To be honest, we thought Indy was a clown, but we were a bunch of Welsh boys in an English forest, and, funny they can get on that side of the border. We decided not to upset the natives and get the boss wizard's blessing." Turnip revealed that as they approached the magic man's lair, things began to go a little pear-shaped. Suddenly, I began talking all flowery, like some sort of perfumed ponce who'd just necked a bottle of opium, explained Turnip. Big Tony had it worse. He started barking like a dog and cocking his leg on nearby trees. Meanwhile, Puerto Rico Paul began doing the river dance while reciting nursery rhymes. And Indy was busting aggressive yoga moves like a new age mum. Turnip explained. Amy had warned us the Necromancer would probably put some sort of weird spell on us as we approached his cabin, and his prediction proved right. However, after downing half a bottle of whiskey to counter the magician's influence, I had that familiar feeling you get when a bad trip wears off and realised this was no spell, the purple haze. We'd been spiked, Turnip added. I quickly worked out that Indy must have been in league with the Necromancer and dropped a few tabs into the bottle of whiskey we shared the previous night. Thing is, the Dorsey Tart had gone and spiked himself, but I suppose he had to for the scam to be plausible. Anyhow, I now had this David Blaine wannabe's number, and leaving the boys to their trip, I knocked on the door of his cabin, ready to go to war. Turnip revealed that when the Necromancer finally appeared from behind a cloud of coloured smoke and puffing on his vape, he instantly recognised him. This is no Magi or High Priest of the Dark Arts, explained Turnip. It was Steve the Psychic. He used to run a spiritualist night down at the Mardy Village Hall every Thursday before he mysteriously disappeared like a thief in the night. Some say he'd taken out one too many payday loans to fund his online gambling addiction and needed to do a vanishing act. But if he needed to lay low in a place no one ever goes, why not choose Telgarth? Turnip explained that when Steve appeared, he was still very much into his Necromancer's act and hadn't realised his ruse had been rumbled. He added, as the smoke cleared, I saw his weasel-like face smirk at Tone, Paul and Indy, who were valiantly fighting off the effects of their trip. I simply gazed at him all cool and stony-faced like Michael Corleone in The Godfather, and I said, I know it was you, Steve. It was always you. He just looked at me all haughty like he'd never done tarot card readings for a fiver in a caravan at the steam rally and said, Well, if it isn't Potato Bill, Portugal Polly and Little John. I just tried not to laugh, stood my ground and replied, You know our names, Steve. It's Johnny Turnip, Puerto Rico Paul and Big Tony. Turnip explained. He just pulled this tired comical expression and snarled, Because those names are a lot less comical, aren't they, my wandering anus? I ignored his pathetic attempts at humour and warned him. Laugh it up, dickhead. When Tone stops thinking he's a dog, you're in a world of trouble, pal. He's never liked you. He may forgive you for telling his missus the spirit said he was wrongin', but when you spiked his drink, you crossed the Rubicon. Why do you do it, Steve? What are you playing at? As I talked, Big Tony began making his weird whimpering sounds like my old bitch Kipper used to do every time there was a thunderstorm. To make matters worse, Puerto Rico Paul moved on from the river dance and was hopping around on one foot muttering if both feet touched the ground, the devil and his legions would claim him. I shouted, Will you two tarts cut it out? Anyone had thought you'd never done shrooms before. This is no spell. It's the purple haze. You're tripping. This bastard spiked us, I said while pointing theatrically at Steve the Psychic. Now get the whiskey from the bag and man up, Turnip explained. As the boys and Indy started necking the spirits and feeling better, I turned to Steve and said, I'll ask you again. Why do you put acid in a whiskey, dude? That's a bit uncivilised, even for a necromancer. This time around, the sturm and drang seemed to leave Steve completely. He dropped his act and sighed. Okay, lads, he said. You've got me. I'm sorry it had to be this way, but after consulting with the Archwizard Earl Elderflower about the prophecy of the three unwise men, and confirming that Indy was indeed 500 years old, I had no choice. Men have been seeking the gift of immortality and eternal life since time began. And when I found the Atlas Three promised to end the curse were lost in the woods, I knew the gift of ages was but a stone's throw away. Turnip said, I just looked at him and tried to think of something clever to say, but all I could think of was, oh. To be honest, I was dead on my feet. Lack of sleep, booze, and acid had taken their toll. All I wanted was a pork pie and a place to rest my bones, but once again, I feared that somehow me and the boys were being called upon to save the world. To be continued.
Brilliant. It would now normally be time for Tat in the Box. However, as we are doing this in a slightly festive way, I'm going to change the jingle to wrap up your tat, wrap up your tat, wrap up your tat, wrap up your tat. Wrap up your tat, wrap up your tat, wrap up your tat, wrap up your tat. Welcome to Wrap Up Your Tat.
Seeing if there are going to be any claps at the end this time.
No, I still got them wrong. And I was going through this in my brain
This
last
was an
night.
original song, so you can have as many claps in there as you like this
That's
time.
true. That is true. But I was going through it. I was honestly trying to fall asleep last night and I was singing it in my head, timing the clap. And I still can't get it right. Honestly, it was going through my mind for like an hour. But also another reason why I was thinking about that is because yesterday and the day before, all I've had stuck in my head is 4 lights in a Kardashian disco ball. I cannot get just that one particular line out of my head. So, yeah, I tried to distract myself with a new jingle, but I clearly didn't do any good.
Well, I've still kept the tat in the box. I've not taken it out yet.
No, your tat is in your box.
Oh,
so
there's still tat in the box.
there is still
You do 2 jingles.
wrapped tat in a box, tat in a box. No, that's it. That's enough. Right, okay. No one...
I'll have some fun this time. Without singing. And without having to time the claps.
Are you got the jingle?
I have no sense of rhythm or pacing. Not even on the 1s and 3s.
Oh, dear. Okay. Should we go for it?
You get to go first.
I get to go first. Oof. Ladies
You still have to
first.
close your eyes.
Oh. But it's wrapped.
Well, whilst you're unwrapping it.
Oh, right.
you have
Yeah,
to close
no,
your eyes.
okay. Fair enough. Oh, Christ, it's heavy.
Yeah, be careful.
I'm not going to break it, am I?
Don't put it down too... If you drop it, you will.
Right, it feels like it's made out of pot. Not weed, pottery. Ceramic, I should have said. Okay, so this is very nice white wrapping paper with red snowflakes and dots on it. I'll move it a little bit far away from the mic so you don't get too much crackly. It's quite cold. It's quite firm. Some sort of base thing going on there.
Yeah, there is definitely a way up that it stands.
I'm probably going to open it upside down. But anyway, I'm going to go for it.
No, as long as you keep...
On touchy-feely in the
That's
paper.
the right way up. You've got it there. Yes.
Fat at the bottom, thin at the
Yes.
top.
Yeah.
Just how everyone likes it.
It won't break if you keep it that orientation.
Oh, okay. And now I need to close my eyes. All right. Okay. So I'm closing my eyes.
As long as you're not throwing it around or dropping
Yeah.
it, you'll be fine.
Can you confirm over camera that my eyes are closed?
Tilt your head forward a bit for reflection. There we go. Yes.
Right,
Scrunch
okay.
closed.
All right.
And confirm.
Unwrapping. Trying not to open my eyes.
it's
How
gonna be
many
fun to
layers is this in?
I didn't know how...
A whole roll of paper?
I wish I had kept some of that for my niece's present.
I'm still going with that. It feels like it's made out of ceramic. It's very cold. Could be glass, I suppose. Oh no, I have wrecked this bit of paper.
No, that's okay. I've wrapped all the presents now.
Oh!
Oh, that easy. That's disappointing. I've been a bit of a mystery to this.
Oh, darling. Right, okay. So, have I got the paper off? Yeah, right, don't fall apart. This is your Carling pump head.
Ah, yeah, got it in one.
Yeah, love it. So this is what you would see on a bar if you were going to order a pint of beer. And it's got a black base and it's kind of like a trophy sort of shape with a silver neck and then the white Carling diamond with the big Carling label. Carling black label. Or is that different?
I think it was 80s Carling Black Label.
Carling Black Label. So yes,
Carling.
Excellent tat, my love, and I've not broken it.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, my second job was being a bartender at a new harvester that opened near my house when I was about 18 or 19.
Right.
So I was one of the original staff at that harvester, and a few years after opening, bar had a minor update from the brewery. They sent the new font heads, so the updated styles and things like that, and changed a few bits around. So my mate, who was also behind the bar, said, "Oh, could I have one?" And I asked for another. There were two going spare that looked quite nice. But at the end of the day, my mate went, "Oh, do you want this as well?" "Yes, please." So no idea why, but yeah, he gave me his. But I could happily take both of them.
Awesome.
One of my most fond memories from working there, because we were good. We had about 5 stars on, it's either our first 3 or 5 Food Hygiene Bureau inspections.
All right.
So, clean sweep, 5 stars, the whole lot.
Very nice.
So the whole unit was treated to a day out at Oakwood Park.
Oh my God. That's awesome.
Staff from other harvesters covered our shifts.
Ha,
And because
losers.
of the time of year that we went, we pretty much had the park to ourselves. It was just a work outing in the park.
Oh my God, that is wicked.
Later on in the day, some public did start coming in, but yeah, we were there by ourselves for a good few hours. We got to stay on rides for about 2 or 3 goes. One of them was called Bounce. Now, this is a sort of big rectangular pole, scaffolding sort of thing,
Yeah.
with a square of chairs. So
Right.
4 rows of chairs, one right either side from this square pole. And it gets hydraulically shot up like an air ram, then drop down, then control, then bounce back up slowly, back down. So it varies speeds, you up and down,
That sounds
plunge. Yeah,
that sounds horrific.
it's called bounce. But from the very top, you can see another one of their rides. It's a water slide. You sit on a sort of tea tray, and it's a big vertical drop, and you go down and skim across the water at the end.
Cool.
Me and a bunch of mates were on Bounce. This is maybe our 2nd or 3rd go. And the guy that gave me his font head, we could see it. When we got to the top, we could see this in installments. He was climbing up the stairs across to the park, the top of the water slide ride. So we got down, saw it. Then, he's about to go down the ride. We were down the bottom. Oh, we got to go up. Go. Thankfully, we got to up the top, and it lingered there. And there's a slow descent, just long enough for us to see my mate on the tea tray go down the slide, skim, then seemingly pause, then slowly topple to one side into the water. So we were pissing ourselves on the way down.
That's so funny. Did you tell him afterwards?
Yeah. But when we caught up to him, he'd had to go to the merch shop to get entirely new clothes. So he was decked out in theme park clothes from head to toe.
Oh my God, he was a full strip wanker.
He would tracksuit trousers, socks, everything. And also, to top it all off, earlier in the day, he'd had his face painted like a tiger. He was like the guy from Phoenix Nights, except without the spray paint.
Oh my God.
But yeah, that's my remaining memory of working at Harvester.
That is
that day out
absolutely hilarious.
in Oakwood Park.
That's fantastic. What a story. That's made my cheeks hurt because I've smiled and laughed at that so much. My face aches now.
Gwyn, you're a legend.
Nice one, Gwyn. You're famous now, Gwyn from Harvester. Right.
Sir.
Your turn to...
Yes. I'm just sitting back. There we go. I've told my story.
Yeah.
Nothing
You
else to
just
do.
sit and chill, love. It's fine. I'll do the rest of the pod on my own. Don't worry. Yes.
turn.
Your turn, in your words, to caress and guess.
Right. It's about the
Not
size
in
of
Christmas
a
paper.
little bit more than A5 size. It feels very fabricy inside.
Okay.
It's soft, spongy. It could be a plush figure. There's some structure to it, I'm feeling. So it's not just like a scarf or a pair of socks, I don't think. But, right, let's unwrap this away from the mic.
Eyes closed.
All right, oh yeah, confirm I've said my glasses.
Yeah, I can confirm he's not wearing his glasses and his eyes are closed.
I hope I'm looking towards the camera. It's been weird otherwise. I'm looking no, turn right, turn left.
I'm surprised you didn't hit your mic on the way back.
I'm surprised I haven't done anything at all now. Right. The wrapping commences. Okay, I have access to the package.
Excellent.
It is a plush figurine of some sort. Oh. Oh! Hang on. Right, there's a nose.
Yeah.
Eyes. Is it a pound puppy?
It is a
Initially, I was going to ask, is it one of the axolotls? But I remember they're crocheted.
They are crocheted and they're not Tat. I bought those brand new.
No, I was trying to work. I thought, hang on, is this gills and legs? There's so many things hanging off it.
You were holding him bum up to start with.
I thought, is that the head of the thing? Yes. Oh, hit the mic.
Oh, never mind. Excuse me while I cough.
Yours was the brown with black spots or darker brown spots.
That's
puppy.
it. Yeah, he's kind of like a beigey colour with dark brown spots.
Was there a tag on it? No tag.
No tag. So, what you have in your hands is...
Oh, there is. At the very bottom, there's an embroidered bit on his bottom.
Oh, yeah, he's got a little tattoo on his bum. Yeah. He's got his branding. Yeah, so what you have in your hands is my Pound Puppy Mini. And this puppy came out of a bin bag.
It does smell like old dog.
It smells old because he's about 40. Well, no, maybe 38.
There's no bin.
Don't sniff too hard. Sniffing a dog's bum. What are you doing?
I didn't want to smell the face. That's the place where people would be kissing or touching it too much on the front.
Oh dear.
There's germy at the back.
Yeah, fair enough if that's what you think.
30 or 40 years old.
Well,
it's in very good condition.
Well, it was, I looked after my favourite things because I was an anally retentive strange child. Here's my Pound Puppy Mini. As I said, he came out of a bin bag. And whilst that sounds bad, please remember this is a plush toy. It's not an actual puppy. And they're like...
He just came out of some paper wrapping too.
Yeah, he did just come out of some paper wrapping. So the bin bag gift sessions, I suppose, like Lucky Dip, happened a couple of times when we were little because my dad worked away a lot. And I think he felt kind of guilty that he wasn't there. So every now and then, on his way home from London, because he used to work at Euston Station, he would get us little gifts. I say us, me and my sister Ruth initially, because Ruth's the oldest and it's me. And then there's 4 years between me and my little sister and 5 between me and my little brother. So I don't really think they got the bin bag treatment, but me and Ruth definitely did. And these mini Pound puppies came in this bag. And Ruth had one, I think it was grey with the slightly chunkier chops. And I've got the one with the slightly flatter snout, more sort of retriever-y than pug. I also had a standard size Pound puppy that was dark brown. And I think I got that for Christmas in 1986. So the larger puppies came in travel boxes with an adoption certificate, very similar to the Cabbage Patch Kids.
Yeah.
And I think I still had the certificate for my big Pound puppy when I went to university in 2000. I think it got lost somewhere after that because my bedroom swiftly got turned into my dad's office. And those things happen. So I don't have that anymore. Pound puppies were designed by a gentleman called Mike Bowling in 1984. They were initially produced by Irwin just for the Canadian market, but Hornby then picked them up for production in the UK and the US markets between 1984 and 1986. So he might actually be, my big Pound puppy might be pre-86, he might be 85. Multiple companies have since owned the rights to produce Pound puppies. Irwin and Hornby, as I've already said, but also Tonka, Galoob. Don't know who they are.
Yeah, they made toys. I think they had a license for maybe He-Man and stuff like that. Galoob.
Oh, right, okay. Oh, that would make sense, actually. That might make sense when I get to a fact in a minute. And then after Galoob, there were so many other names that I just put etc. because I'm lazy. The plush toys were so successful that they inspired an animated movie, cartoon series, Pound Purries, which were the cats, puzzles and games. And Hanna-Barbera produced 2 seasons of the Pound Puppies animated show. First season was called Pound Puppies, and the second season, for reasons unknown, was called The All New Pound Puppies. And the style of animation was based on the Tonka 1985 TV special. There were 26 episodes in total, so 13 in each season. And the main characters, I've written a list down, Bright Eyes, who appeared in the 1985 TV special only, but then you've got Bratina, Nose Marie, Katrina Stoneheart,
Well, one gets a
Captain,
surname
Captain Slaughter,
and a title.
Holly, Cooler, Bruno, Howler, Barkerville, Whopper, Catgut, and Scrounger.
Were some of those villains?
They must have been. They must have been with some of the names. I didn't look into it too deeply. And if you go on to IMDb, Pound Puppies is rated 7 out of 10, which is equal to the Wuzzles. Better than Care Bears, who are rated 6.1, or the Snorks
Really?
at 6.4, but below Muppet Babies at 7.5 out of 10.
I thought Care Bears would have been more commercially successful. But
I thought they would have been
surprised.
too. They did a lot more movies and things, but no, Pound Puppies are winning the popularity contest on IMDb still. So yes,
Good research.
thank you very much.
I like the stats at the end.
I actually did some
brought
research.
receipts.
So yeah, that's wrap up your tap.
Okay, we're still not back to the Crystal Maze yet, due to technical reasons and germ reasons.
Mostly germ reasons now.
We have got a standing game, very lightly used. Not by me, because I've never played it before, but I stole it about 20 years ago when I worked in the call centre. It's called Urban Myth, and I think from the tagline it'll give you an idea of how old this game is. The truth is in here. Essentially, we've got half the deck of the cards each. I think it's meant for 6 players. We're only going to be playing it for 10 minutes, which reminds me.
Set a timer.
I think this is how we play it. You've
Sure.
just read the rules, so I'm just going from memory.
Okay.
On the back of the card is a true or false statement. We read them out to each other. If you get it right, you win that card. On the back of the card is a letter, and they spell out either true or myth.
Correct.
And the first to spell out either of those words wins.
Yes.
And we've also got 3 wild cards, which could stand for any letter you want.
Yeah. Well,
Is that roughly the gist of it?
yes, that is pretty much it. Yeah. So
well-
this is a game of trust today because obviously, as you guys know, we're
Not
not in the same room or the same home.
Same county.
Different counties, same country. And so we're gonna have to trust each other
Same province.
on the letters that we've got.
Plus,
Do
we
you
can hold
wanna-
them up to camera.
Do you want to take a note of each other's as we win them, or do you just want to go on trust?
I think if we go on trust, it'll be hard enough to keep track of our own cards.
That's fair enough.
We're on camera as well, so we can hold up the completed
Yeah.
set of letters to each other to show
Yeah.
that, we've got them.
Although for our beloved listeners, we are only doing an audio recording. There will be no videtorial evidence of this.
We'll have to remember to take a photo of our completed decks, though, at the end of the game.
Yes. So according to the rules, the youngest player goes first. So
that'll
you
be nice.
pick the first card and I tell you whether I think it's a true or a myth.
Okay, right. 10 minutes starting now. Category is life.
Okay.
The word handicap comes from the phrase cap in hand and refers to the disabled being forced to beg for a living in the 19th century.
True?
Oh, it's a myth.
Oh,
I get
okay.
to keep
You
the
get
card.
you get to keep the R. Okay. For a Y, Mr. Court. This is a world category.
No, dear.
The potato was introduced to North America from Ireland.
Myth?
True.
Ah,
I get to keep the Y.
I knew I'd be too badly at that. That's not just world, that's history. For another crack at an R.
Oh,
World, back at you.
okay.
A tidal wave of molasses swept through Boston in 1919, killing 21 people and injuring 150 others.
That's too stupid not to be true.
It is true. That's your card.
Yay! I'm going to give myself
You
an
get an
R
R.
out of my deck.
Pull it from the bottom.
I'm taking it from. It's from the middle.
Or anywhere, it doesn't really matter.
Okay, right. For a U. Also, you haven't shuffled these, have you?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I've
Just
randomised
badly.
all the cards and I randomised the letters, not the categories.
Ah. World. Third world in a row. There are more London streets named after Queen Victoria than any other person.
True.
Correct. You win a U.
Oh, let me...
Pick a U out of your deck.
Let me find one. Got one.
Excellent.
You are playing for a Y.
Oh, I've already got one of those.
Told you I randomised it. Might have a spare. Health. Rubbing butter onto a burn helps minimise the damage.
That's a tough one because if it was cold butter, it might feel soothing, but it's fat, so it might also contribute to the burn. I'm going to say myth.
You're correct. Give yourself a Y.
Hooray!
A spare Y.
Okay. I have now got 2 Ys and an R. What have you got?
R and a U.
Okay. All right. For a T. Coconut milk can be used as a blood plasma substitute in an emergency.
I'm going to say myth.
It's true.
Really?
Yeah. I'm really surprised. But there we are. Good to know.
A T. Back at you.
Oh, okay.
Health. King George V. Sorry, we can't Roman numerals.
King George V.
Yeah. King George V was killed by a lethal dose of morphine and cocaine injected by his own doctor. It's a speedball, isn't it?
I wouldn't know. Far too innocent to know that. No, genuinely, I don't actually know.
I've been guessing all mine.
George V, was he directly before QE2?
I don't know, you're asking me history questions. I just read what's on the card.
Myth.
It's true.
Oh, I didn't need a T anyway. Right. For a U.
We've got 5
Life.
minutes left. We both got
Life
2 letters
category.
each.
Life category. The first ever England football captain died in 1881 after a night out dancing and drinking.
True.
Correct. Give yourself a U.
I already got one.
Oh, sorry.
I'll grab a spare. There's one. You get another crack at a T.
Oh, God.
Let's just move this on.
I need
What
a
letter
U,
do you-
an E, an M, or a T, or an H. Oh, I do need another T.
You do need a T.
Yeah. Stupid woman.
World. The bra was invented by a New Yorker named Otto Titzling.
True?
It's a myth. Try not to smile.
I wanted it to be true so badly. For an E, life
Oh, yeah.
category. Crisps were invented in Australia in 1957.
Ooh. False. Myth.
It is a myth. Give yourself an E.
Oh, there's an E. Do you need a Y?
No, I've got 2 of those.
T you said you needed, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. Very, very wordy one. This crime. In 1997, a Philadelphia restaurant was fined $150,000 after a customer threw a soft drink over her boyfriend and then slipped in the puddle, injuring her back.
True.
It's a myth.
Oh. What letters do you need?
Could I have a tea, please?
A tea, please, Bob. Let's see if I can find one. Aha, there's one. For a tea, world category. Britain turned down the chance of taking over Volkswagen as part payment for the German war debt of World War II.
I'll say true.
Correct. Give yourself a tea.
I win.
Ah,
Hang on.
you're too good at these games.
Let me get the tea to prove it. I think... Oh, hang on. I've discarded a tea.
No, you've discarded it. You don't get to keep it if you've discarded it.
No, from the one that you got wrong earlier. So
all
save me
right.
rummaging through an entire stack. There's like 6 there instead of all of those. But... W.
True. Well done.
Am I holding those right? No, wrong way around for the camera.
Doesn't matter. We're not filming the cameras. Well done. You win. You're too good at these games.
Oh, we've
You
still
need
got
to
a
find
minute and a
something
half
harder.
spare.
Have we really? Not fair play.
Yeah.
That's quite a fun little game. I can imagine, like, with a party of like 6 people or whatever, you would have a nice little giggle over a glass of wine or 2 playing that game. Love it. Brilliant. Good
And
game.
it cost nothing because I stole it.
Good game, you tea-leaving sausage.
Good game, you dirty thief.
It is time for Bibliotat, and this episode, I so nearly said this week, this episode is my turn to bring a book along. So I have brought Ghosts of Wales by Peter Underwood, president of the Ghost Club. It's also an illustrated book, and it was printed by Corgi.
Do you think he gets a badge or a special hat?
Well, I don't know, he's president, he can do whatever he likes, right? That's how it goes these days.
Might be whatever the previous president did.
Maybe. So the Corgi edition of this book was printed in 1980, but the original publication was first published in Great Britain by Christopher Davis Publishers Limited in 1978 and reprinted by Corgi in 1980. So it's an anthology of tales from around Wales about ghosts, ghouls and creepy things. And there is actually a chapter on Swansea. And it's only 4 pages long, so I thought I'd give you a little bit of Swansea ghost history. I'll just turn my torch on because I haven't got my light on.
Right. To be spooky with the torch on. Telling ghost stories, for real.
Definitely not attractive with the torch on. 2 poltergeists and the ghost of Jersey Lil. Busy, bustling Swansea has been the scene of several ghostly disturbances, including a violent turmoil at a terraced house on Rhondda Street in 1965. The Howells family, David and Marcia, and their 2 little children, moved into the house, and 3 days later, Mrs. Howell said, "We woke up in the early hours of the morning. We could hardly breathe and felt as if something was choking us. We opened the windows, but it made no difference." Nothing further happened for 10 months, and then Marcia Howells, entering the living room one afternoon, was amazed to see a child's medicine bottle rise by itself off the mantelpiece and fly towards her. She quickly left the room and slammed the door shut. As she did so, she heard the sound of the bottle smashing from within the empty room. Soon David returned home from work, and when they looked into the room together, some of the furniture was upside down and clothes were scattered all over the place. A couple of days later, Mrs. Howell's grandmother was in the front room with Gareth, who was not yet 2 years old, when she heard a crashing noise from the direction of the living room. She immediately went to that room, but was unable to open the door. When Marcia returned home with Beverly, nearly 4 years old, they found the living room had again been wrecked. A settee had been upended, a television set thrown on the floor, and chairs were tumbled on top of everything. Upstairs, they found a double bed in the front bedroom upside down on top of a baby's cot. This much they could see through the gap in the bedroom door, which they could only open a few inches. Marcia, leaving the back door locked, as it had been when she went out, now waited at the front door for her husband. As he arrived, there was another crashing sound that seemed to come from inside the house towards the back. On investigation, they found an unconnected gas stove lying on its side in the lean-to kitchen and a smashed bottle of coffee nearby. Coffee come in bottles?
Maybe it was a glass jar.
Yeah. Camp
Instant
coffee
coffee.
comes in a bottle. The family, including 2 grandparents, now left the house and spent the night with relatives. How many relatives have these people got? David and Marcia had had enough. David said that although he had a mortgage on the property, he would never take the children back into the house, and Marcia said she would never sleep in the house again. She was convinced that no human being could have been responsible for the happenings. Police, a reporter, and a Roman Catholic priest later visited the house, but encountered no further damage or phenomena of any kind, and it was assumed that by then the disturbances had ceased of their own accord. Mrs. Glendora Howells, the grandmother who moved out of the haunted house with the granddaughter's family, said that later none of her property was damaged. She and her husband Jack had occupied the front room. She was very puzzled by the fact that none of the things were among the furniture and fittings thrown about the rooms by an unknown force. She said the affair had badly shaken her, and she would not return to the house in Rhondda Street if she were offered £500 to do so. A few days later, Harry Holmes, a local psychic investigator, spent 24 hours in the house and came to the conclusion that the damage was not the work of a poltergeist, but of a human being. He disclosed reasons for suspecting that someone, for reasons unknown, had manufactured the disturbances and made them look like happenings of a paranormal nature. He described how a jammed bedroom door could have been rigged and pointed out that a loose window in the lean-to kitchen could have enabled someone to obtain entry and exit. Less than a month later, Mr. and Mrs. Jack Howells, the grandparents, returned to the house and lived in it without experiencing any unusual happenings until it was sold. So, moving on to the story about Jersey Lil. This one's a bit shorter than the last one. 5 years later, after the house on Rhondda Street incident, some of the night shift workers at Swansea's Ford Motorworks began to report that a ghost of Jersey Lil had returned to the area. Many years before, this ghost had long been reputed to haunt the old Elba tinplate works at Jersey Marine, and it was thought she may have returned to the works, which is now part of the Ford complex. One theory suggested that Jersey Lil was a woman of easy virtue who had been murdered in the area many years ago. Another idea is that she was a woman who worked at the old Elba pickling works and met her death in a vat. Sounds dramatic. Certainly, when the Ford company took over the Elba works, they were warned they had a ghost on their hands, but it didn't trouble them, it seemed, until now. In December 1970, a worker was in the toilet of the heat treatment area when he said he felt a hand on his shoulder. He turned around and there was a wraith-like figure of Lil. He made a hurried exit from the toilet. Later, an identical figure was seen walking down the steps into the main plant.
Was he using a ladies' toilet?
Maybe she was just telling him
me?
to piss off, yeah.
The sign on the door.
Now workers recalled that Lil made a brief appearance at the plant a couple of years previously, but no one took much notice of her. The management were not committing themselves, other than to say that in the heat treatment area, crown wheels were put into a furnace and then cooled off, and there was a lot of steam and rising smoke, and that could perhaps be mistaken for a ghost. Later, a spokesman of the firm said he had noticed there were often about 18-month intervals between reported appearances of the ghost, but he offered no possible reason for the apparent rhythm. There were also newspaper reports, and there are many other ghosts in Swansea. In 1965, the ghost of a chimney sweeper was reported to be haunting a house in the district of Morriston. Even a policeman was said to have witnessed the phenomenon. And some very strange things seemed to happen at a house of a Methodist minister who lived on St George Street, now Hanover Road, off Walter Road. The Rev David Phillips is described in published accounts of the case as one of the keenest and wittiest of men. Not the type of person you may think of easily hoodwinked, but he was completely puzzled when his furniture suddenly began to move itself whenever his back was turned. His bedroom, in particular, repeatedly turned itself upside down. And I literally can't read anymore. But what I do want to say is I paid 50p for this book in the British Heart Foundation internationally. And its original publishing price in 1980 was £1.25. So I don't think Peter Underwood got that many royalties from this book, but I'll probably read the rest of it because I like a good ghost story. Guess what? It's the outro! Woo!
We're done for another episode.
Done.
Not just the episode.
Done for the year.
Wow.
Done for the year. This is the last episode of 2024. It's been likely Christmas themed.
A quick 5 months. Was it July we started?
Yeah, so it's more than 5 months. It's what, 7 months? No, July, August, September, October, November, December. 6 months, literally half a year.
It was the start of July, wasn't it? Yeah. Or was it
Yeah.
Either way, it's gone by fast.
It really
13
has.
Episodes.
It really has. And I guess really what I want to say first is thank you everybody so much for listening, for all the shares and the likes, the views on YouTube. We appreciate every single one of you.
Absolutely.
Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. I hope 2025 starts off really well for you.
Please keep listening. Please keep listening.
We will be back in the new year.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Rob, for having us. We are part
Yes.
of the Studio Channel 84 network. If you haven't already listened to our fellow network shows, please do give them a listen. The variety show where Channel 84 all started, where pop culture meets parenting and everything in between and to the sides, up above it and below it and around it. The general
round
area.
And round it goes.
The Untitled Trek Show is no more.
No.
Long live the Untitled Sci-Fi Show.
Yay!
But the Untitled Trek Show did bow out with style and class. Check out the very, very special Christmas shit show story. That's fantastic. It was a labour of love for Rob. Thank you very much for including us in it. It's been amazing.
28 hours of editing for that one episode.
It does show.
It really does. He's done a fantastic job. It's really fun. All of the Channel 84 guys are on there. Everyone from the studio, apart from Ross, because Ross doesn't do anything.
He's a sensible one.
Plus some of our other wonderful friends and podcast family people that we've met on the socials and face-to-face over the last couple of years. So
Yeah.
please do look out for them and have a listen because it is fantastic. And apologies in advance for when my voice breaks.
I was going to say, is it appropriate to give a headphone warning?
I mean, the levels are okay.
And we're going to say thank you as well to Simon and Ross of Who Takes the Socks Off.
Ross and Simon have been torturing Tom, Rob, Adam, and myself for the last couple of months in a Master of Tasks, not rip-off Taskmaster themed Christmas
Where would you get that
special.
idea from?
All of which was audio recorded and video recorded. It's not out yet. Simon is still working on the editing, but it will be available, I believe, in audio and video format. So hopefully you'll find it on YouTube. But if not, definitely linked to the channel84.co.uk website.
In the meantime, there is their Best of 2024 mammoth episode as well.
That's a good 3-hour slog. Yeah.
If you've never heard the show before, if you want to find out what you've been missing, that sums up the entire year. It's the best bits of the year for them.
It does.
It's amazing.
It's a collection of brilliant sound bites and clips and mini interviews and things. Yeah, just really good fun.
Socks have also got their first live stream. They're taking part in Lemon Sunday's 6-hour stream. That's on January the 19th. You can find their podcast feeds and socials at channel84.co.uk. Have a listen and tell a friend. And you can find us at lightlyused.co.uk as well.
You can, and you can also find us on Twitter, because I refuse to call it X.
I was going to say that one to last.
Blue Sky. We also have a Discord. You can find a link and an invite to that. We have an Instagram, and occasionally, when I can be bothered, I share things on Facebook too. So we've got most of the social covered, but the Facebook stuff is under my name, not show. So yeah. Is that it? Is that everything? Have we made
I
it
think
through
that's
the
everything
year?
we do.
Oh, well,
That's it for the year.
in that case, we wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry
this
Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Hooray!
Adam and Karen have been lightly used. Visit lightlyused.co.uk for more. To get in touch, email pod@lightlyused.co.uk.
Turnip explained that when Steve appeared, he was still very much into his Necromancer's act, and hadn't realised his readers.
This was a Studio Channel 84 network show. To find more, head over to channel84.co.uk now.